that feeling, right? That massive disconnect between generations. It's like the young have all this energy, all this drive, but they don't know where to point it. And the old? They've got all the wisdom, all the experience, but they can't act on it anymore. This isn't just some awkward Thanksgiving dinner conversation. No, this is a deep, fundamental bug in our human software. This old saying, it hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? It's all about a partnership that's supposed to work, but is totally broken. Think about it. The young are the hands, the doers, and the old are the guides, the navigators. See, the whole reason we have elders is so the youth can know stuff without having to learn it all the hard way. And the reason we have youth is so the elders can still act in the world, through them. But what happens when that link just snaps?
Well, you get the world we're living in right now. A world where, let's be honest, we don't really see the elderly as this incredible source of wisdom anymore. Instead, they're often seen as, well, a problem to be managed. People we just need to keep alive. And what's the result of that? Every single new generation is basically forced to figure life out from scratch, making the exact same mistakes again and again and again. And without that real guidance, what do? How do we try to learn? We turn to the fastest thing we can find, right? We're literally asking AI for life advice, hoping for some kind of shortcut to wisdom. But all that gets us is this scattered, chaotic focus. We're just chasing the next trend, the next shiny object, with absolutely no long-term vision for who we are or where we're even going. We are drowning in data, but we are starving for something else entirely. And that right there, that gets us to the absolute heart of this whole generational mess. It's the critical difference between just knowing a bunch of stuff and actually understanding it. So let's really dig into this whole knowledge versus wisdom thing. Okay, just look at this. On one side, you've got knowledge. That's the what. It's pure data. It's fast, it's easy to get. You can look it up in 2 seconds. But wisdom? Oh, wisdom is something else. That's the why. It's the context, it's that deep, gut-level understanding of the big picture. And you can only get that through experience. It's slow. It has to be earned. You can't just download wisdom from the internet. Think about those emeritus professors at big universities. Their job isn't to drone on about textbook facts anymore. No, their role is to sit down with a brilliant young academic and say one thing, just one sentence, that completely flips their entire worldview and sets their career on a new path. They're not teaching what to do, they're guiding on how to live. That's the real power of wisdom. It gives you a map you couldn't possibly draw for yourself.
Okay, so this whole thing, it's not just some communication gap between you and your grandparents. Not at all. This generational paradox is actually just a symptom of a much, much deeper problem. A flaw in our very nature. It's a problem with our collective human software.
Look, I'm just gonna be blunt here. We are basically hairless chimpanzees running on some seriously outdated software. We walk around with our smartphones and our fancy ideas, thinking we're so sophisticated, but really, we're still running on the same basic tribal instincts we had thousands of years ago. Humanity, we're not a finished product. We're still in beta. And you want to see the bugs in our code? I mean, look at this. We're totally trapped in this us versus them mindset, always dividing the world into our team and their team. We're so easily controlled by fear and pressure. And we're always looking for some simple formula. Democracy, capitalism, socialism, as if one of those will magically fix everything. We keep blaming the system, but the real issue? It might just be the user. And that's exactly why all our endless debates about the best political system or the perfect society are kind of pointless right now. Until we upgrade our own internal software, until we get past this tribal, short-term thinking, we're basically just arguing about where to put the couch while the whole house is on fire. The problem isn't the furniture, it's us. Okay, so if our software is full of bugs, what's the fix? How do we even start to debug this thing? Well, the answer starts by completely rethinking why we're even here. Our true purpose? It's probably not what you think. Here's the thing. Our number one job as human beings isn't just to be happy. It's not to be successful or even just to survive. Our real mission is to be a culture transmitter. Think about that. We are each a living, breathing link in this massive chain that stretches all the way from our most ancient ancestors into the distant future. Our job is to receive everything that came before us, add our own unique experience to it, and then pass on a slightly better version. And it's actually a pretty simple 3-step process. Step 1, you receive. You learn from the past, you soak up all that wisdom.
Step 2, you add. You go out, you live your life, you have your own adventures, you make your own mistakes, you create something new. And finally, step 3, you transmit. You pass that upgraded package on to the next generation. This is where real meaning comes from, way beyond just getting through the day.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. This sounds like some huge global project, right?
But the software update, it doesn't happen in some government lab. It happens inside each and every one of us. So the real question is, how do we start changing our own code? Right here, right now.
Here's the great paradox of our time. We're told our whole lives to get more money, more followers, more stuff. But that road, so often it just leads to feeling empty. I mean, think about some of these super wealthy tech geniuses. They literally have everything anyone could ever want. And yet so many of them are completely miserable. Why? Because they haven't figured out that purpose isn't about what you can get. It's about what you can give. Now, here's the really hopeful part. The good news, we don't need everybody on board to make this happen. Not even close. You've heard of the 80-20 rule, right? Well, big changes in society don't need 100% of people to buy in. All it takes is a critical mass, maybe just 20% of us, to start thinking and acting this way. If that happens, their impact creates a massive ripple effect that can literally upgrade the whole system. So that personal software update, it kicks in the second we flip the switch from thinking about me to thinking about we. The moment you start using your skills, your time, your voice, whatever it is you have to do things for other people, that's when it all clicks. Suddenly, you see how everything you've ever learned, everything you've ever received, can actually create real meaning. That's when all your data finally transforms into wisdom. And so that really just leaves one last, very personal question for you to think about. You've received this incredible inheritance, all the culture, all the knowledge from generations past. You are that link in the chain. So the only question that matters is this: what will you add to the code before you pass it on?